Hello, everybody, and welcome to Break Through the Blocks that prevent you from attracting soul-shaking love. My name is Valerie Green, love coach, and for the past about 13 years or so, and hi, Rose, and feel free to type your name into the chat box because I'd love to say hello to you, whoever's here, and people will probably start trickling in. So I'm Valerie Green, and for the past about 13 years or so, I've been helping women to attract and reignite and sustain lasting love. And in this webinar, I'm going to be presenting to you the 3 blocks that I've found over the years that prevent women from attracting the love that they deserve. And so over the next hour or so, I'll be presenting the solutions to these pitfalls so that you can really become magnetic, especially for those of you who have just completed my recent 5-day adventure. And there's also a chat box where you can type in your questions, although I probably won't get to them till the end. But I encourage you to all stay until the end of this webinar so that I can answer your questions if you're here live. And also, if you stay until the end of the webinar, I'm going to be sharing with you a little known connection tool that enables you to create a mesmerizing connection on a date. And you can use this with either men or even on job interviews or with coworkers, really, when you want to persuade people to align with you. And I've had clients use this tool and tell me that guys call them back and they get second dates more often. So that's something I'll be presenting at the end of this webinar, is this little known connection tool. So stay until the end if you want to hear about that. So I'm really excited to present to you the secrets to what I call soul-shaking love. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about what that means to me. So you know how if you're with a guy, and I've certainly had this experience where something's missing, right? Either he's not intellectually up to par with you, because I tend to attract really smart women that I worked with, or maybe he seems intimidated by your success, or he's just not, there's not enough physical chemistry. So soul-shaking love is that feeling where you're excited to jump out of bed in the morning and or stay in bed if you're with the guy and connect with him on all levels, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, where you feel like you're meant to be together. That's soul-shaking love. That's what I have with my partner. He's so sweet. He's allowing me to use his computer to do this webinar, and he's a software engineer, so that means a lot. And I really want to share with you all the tools that I've used to be able to manifest such an amazing relationship. And so let me tell you a little bit more about me and my story before we get started on the presentation. And I just want to make sure everything's working okay. I have another computer that I'm using to monitor everything, but if for some reason you can't hear me or something, just type that into the chat. So I've actually had a pretty easy time attracting quality men, which is part of the process that I distilled that I teach my clients. But my challenge was maintaining love in the long term. So in fact, when I first met my partner, he told me that he wasn't looking for a committed relationship. And after working with women for the past 13 years, I knew what to do to inspire him to want a committed relationship, and it worked. And, after a month or so, he was just like, "Oh, I want to be exclusive with you." And then I said, "Okay, great. Here's what I need. Here's the kind of relationship I want. Here's my emotional needs. Here's the agreements I need to make." But I said it in a fun, playful way. And he gradually stepped up more and more commitment to me until now we're planning the rest of our lives together. And he said to me at the point that he said he wanted to spend the rest of his life with me, he was like, I'm quoting him, and he said that I could. He said, "You've so beyond blown away the doubts I had in the beginning about committing to you, like a bulldozer over matchsticks, obliterated them just by being who you are. It feels so good to be with you in every way imaginable. And now I just feel so excited about the future we're planning and all the ways that we inspire each other to be who we really want to be in the world, and how great our chemistry is, and Shanita, is that how you pronounce your name? Because I've never said it out loud, but it's great to see you here. I'm assuming it's Shanita. Let me know if it's not. And I look forward to interacting with all of you at the end and answering your questions. So now, and great, I'm glad I did it. I pronounced it right. So now it just feels so amazing to be with my partner and plan our future together and enjoy our time together. And it really feels like that soul-shaking love that we're connecting on all levels. And so when I took all of the tools that worked for me and my clients, and I continued to train with the top relationship experts in the world and attend the Relationship Coaching Institute and did a ton of additional training, I distilled my process that I'd used all along to attract quality conscious men and inspire them to commit to a lifetime of love. And when I presented that formula to my girlfriends and single clients over the years, they started attracting their life partners and getting married and engaged and being really happy. And so I knew I had to present this formula to more women. And that's why I created the webinars that I've done for single women in the past. And I'm creating this new webinar tonight in order to present you with a new way of working with me where I can serve more people at once. And I'm really excited to present that at the end. And so I want to let you know that this formula can work for you no matter how old you are or what you look like or how many times you failed in the past, because it goes a lot deeper than a lot of the formulas that you might have had before. So I'm excited to share that with you. And this is really your time to have soul-shaking love. And this webinar might be the solution that you're looking for. So I'm excited to share the presentation with you. I am now going to share the slides. And there we go. I'm just going to do one little tweak on them so they might disappear for a second. But this is actually, all right. This should work. Oh, all right. Sorry. I'm just going to tweak the slides. It'll work in a minute. All right, that's good enough. So here's what you're going to discover in this webinar. And I'm really excited to share these tools with you. So I'm going to present to you the 3 pitfalls that I've found to attracting love so that you really can be magnetic to your Mr. Right. So how to reprogram limiting beliefs that are sabotaging you in a way that goes deeper than you might have done before. Why you keep attracting the same negative pattern again and again and how to finally break out of it. And the 3 key skills that you need to know in order to attract a high quality man, inspire him to commit, and maintain love, intimacy, and passion in the long term. So these are in addition to the skills that I've taught in the recent online adventure for those of you who are here now. You might have run into some of these blocks. And so this webinar is going to present the solutions to these blocks. So that's very exciting. So I just want to go on and say a little bit more about where you might be coming from, because I've noticed that this is where the women that I work with have been coming from over the years. So I want to share this with you. So maybe you've been on too many dates to mention and you're feeling resigned or hopeless that love will find you. Or maybe you're scared or confused at why there don't seem to be high quality or conscious men out there, or all the good ones are taken. Or you keep attracting the same kind of partner again and again. Or you've endured disappointments or heartbreak and rejection, and you want guidance on what to do it differently. Or many of the women that I've worked with have stories that they're too old or they're not attractive enough. And I want to tell you that that's not true, because I come from the place where I've seen it happen again and again, that women who really get in touch with their true their inner truth, their inner guidance, and their inner beauty, that it shines outwards and they present the best version of themselves on the outside. And there is a man who is meant for you. So that's what I've seen, and that's the belief that I want to present you with. And we'll talk about that later when we talk about beliefs. So I want to present to you, first of all, that these struggles are not your fault. So many brilliant and beautiful and successful women are struggling right now because this is part of a bigger story. We're becoming more successful and conscious, but there's been practically no modeling from our parents or history about what healthy, passionate partnerships looks like. Because over the past 50 years, think about it, dynamics between men and women have changed more in the past 50 years than the past 5,000 years before that. And even though we're feeling more empowered in many areas of our life, we're also lonelier. A recent New York Times article said that 50% of women are living alone without a partner. So even though we're more successful, we're also more isolated than ever. And think about it, even in our parents' generation, I know this is true for my parents' generation, they're now in their 70s. When they got married, it really was about just building a family and having security. And my mom stayed home and took care of me, and my dad went out and made the money. And it was really about security. And they do have a lifelong partnership. They're still together. But now, even in the past 20 years, we've really been presented with a new paradigm of self-actualization. And I think many of you are interested in personal growth, and you not only want to be loved and cherished and have somebody be a safe haven for you, but you really want support in who you're becoming to really be the best version of yourself. And, you want mutual security and passion. You don't just want the security, you want lifelong chemistry and lifelong, where you're so excited to stay in bed and connect with them when you should be going to work, right? We've certainly done that a bunch of times. And we really also want, if you're on a personal growth path, you want somebody who can really meet you. You want somebody who can meet you spiritually, where you really feel joined together as one, where you really feel like you have a partner, not just in pleasure, but you want a partner to heal your wounds and grow to your highest potential. Because you know that deep down, a secure relationship is a foundation for thriving and celebrating your success in the world. And you yearn to be really seen and met and loved and known for who you are. And even if that's scary when I say that, I know it might sound scary to all of you, and that's why we're going to talk about the blocks. You really deserve to have that. And I'm here to tell you that if you have the desire for extraordinary love, it's more than possible if you have the right tools and a proven system. So let's dive deep into the 3 pitfalls that I've noticed that women get caught in that prevent us from finding and keeping lasting love. So you might want to open a note in your computer or get out a notepad and pen if you have one, because we're going to do a little exercise. All right, so pitfall number 1 is our limiting beliefs. So it's all well and good for us to say affirmations and to start to believe that we're lovable, attractive, and deserving. But if deep down we believe that we're not good enough, or that we'll have to settle, or that all the good men are taken, then that's what we'll attract. So many of these beliefs are unconscious. They might not be there right on the surface. That's why I'm going to take you through this process here to discover what your beliefs are. So right off the bat, I just want to ask you, what happens inside of you when I say you are going to meet your dream partner very soon? Just notice if you're really excited about that when I say it, which is great. That means you might not have any limiting beliefs. Or there might be something that comes up in you that says, no, you won't, because I'm too this or too little that, or I haven't done that. So just notice what happens inside of you. So I'm going to lead you through a process to identify this belief, because right now it just might be a feeling like, maybe that's not true. So I'll help you identify that belief. So first of all, before we do that, I want to show you really how our beliefs create our reality. Because in New Age and spiritual circles, we hear a lot that what you attract, what you think you attract, right? What you imagine you create in your life, right? We hear that a lot. But to a lot of us, it kind of occurs to us like there's this big computer in the sky that somehow sends us experiences that match our beliefs as if by magic, right? So at least that's, how some of the law of attraction people talk, not naming any names. So let's take a look at how this actually occurs, how we generate our experience so that we can have the tools to generate the experiences that we want. So how are we the source of our experience? Well, when you think about it, something happens, right? Like, let's say there's an attractive guy in front of you, and we interpret that, right? We don't see exactly what is, we interpret it through our filters or our beliefs. So basically, what happens is we respond based on those interpretations. And based on how we respond, that's what causes us to see evidence that our belief is true, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I'll give you an example. So let's say, and because we usually created these beliefs between 0 and 5 years old. And so let's say your father was narcissistic, and hopefully my radiator is not making too much noise in the background. Sorry if it is, nothing I can do about that. So let's say that your father was narcissistic. The radiator should go away soon. And he couldn't really see or mirror or reflect your feelings. You're likely to make false meaning out of that. So as children, we basically have two choices. We can decide that our caretakers are inadequate or crazy, which, think about it, to a little kid, that's too scary, because if that was true, then you might die. Or you can decide that there's something wrong with you, in which case you're still safe and you might have the chance of fixing it one day. So understanding, like making false meaning about that, like I'm not wanted or my feelings and needs don't matter, that actually feels safer than thinking that there's something wrong with your parents. And so what happens is we grow up with this unconscious belief, and then because we think that about ourselves, we act as if it's true, and then life mirrors that back to us. So let's say you decide that I'm not wanted, or you can decide my feelings don't matter, or I can't have what I need. So just take a moment to notice if that might be similar to your story, or if you had another version of not getting your needs met as a child and you created a limiting belief about that as a result. So you can start to write down about what that might have been for you, and I'll give you a list of what most beliefs that my clients have had in a minute. So, for example, if you believe that you're not wanted, maybe you're going to try to figure out who you need to be to get love from men, who they want you to be. If you're not wanted deep down, then you might have to try to be who he wants you to be. That's one example of how you're going to act out of this false belief. So you might do things for him to try to earn love, but feeling anxious underneath out of this belief. So of course you're not being your authentic self for him to want. So you're not attractive to a quality man who wants to love a woman who's present and in touch with her inner joy. So he'll just see that you're not being authentic and lose interest. And then you'll get more evidence of not being wanted. But I want to highlight here that it's you that showed up not showing him your true pleasure, your true feelings that caused him to lose interest. So how you showed up inside this belief can generate evidence that this belief is true. So here's how to shift these beliefs. The good news is our beliefs dictate our experience until we become conscious of them. And once we're aware of them, we don't have to let them run our lives anymore. It's like our brain is a computer running outdated programming, and it'll keep running until we update it. So I'll give you a short process that you can do that involves shifting your thoughts to a new belief that updates the program and lets you to let love in. So the first process is to just identify your limiting belief. So now that you've heard that story about how we create our beliefs, you can ask yourself again, you can just say to yourself, my Mr. Right is going to walk into my life very soon, and just notice the feeling that comes up in your body. Or there might be a voice in your head saying, no, he won't, because. So if it's a feeling in your body, then just try to translate that feeling. Just notice if any of these beliefs resonate. Or it could be something else, but we'll start with these. It's usually some version of I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not successful enough. Mine was I don't belong. I used to think that I was different and guys wouldn't like the real me. So I would pretend to be quote unquote normal. And then I would not understand why he thought I was boring because I wasn't being the real me. Um, I'm not safe, or relationships aren't safe. I'm going to get hurt. I'm a burden on people. I'm not lovable. I'm not attractive enough. And there's many different versions of why that is, right? All the good ones are taken, or all men are players, afraid to commit, pigs, etc. Or maybe you believe that there's no such thing as true love, and then inside of that belief, you're acting as if there's no such thing as true love, so you're not looking for it. Or a lot of women I coach have this belief that I'll have to settle, right? So you either do settle for someone that you're not that into, or if you're with someone that you really know isn't working out, you stay because you're afraid you won't meet someone else, or that you'll be rejected or abandoned, or that you'll lose yourself if you love. That's also a really popular one. So just take a minute to think which one of those might be true for you. And then you can ask yourself, what are the consequences of believing this in your adult life? How do you show up when you're believing this that generates evidence that this belief is true? And how does it limit the amount of love that you feel? Or maybe it inadvertently pushes men away. So acknowledging the consequences allows us to get past the discomfort of changing our habits of thinking and trying on a new belief, right? Because remember, these beliefs make us feel safe. And safety is important. So when we start to challenge these beliefs and act as if another belief is true, it's not necessarily going to feel true at first. It's going to feel scary. So acknowledging the consequences of this belief helps to give us the courage that we need to take new actions from a place of a new belief. So I'll give you a quick process that you can do right now to shift these beliefs, and then I'll go a little deeper into what I do when I work with people. So right now, I'd like you to choose an empowering belief that you will take action from. So if your old belief is that you're not lovable, what can you create instead that you can believe? Maybe it's that you're lovable to the right man. Or if your belief is that you're too old, you can say that there's a man out there who's looking for a woman exactly your age to share the rest of his life with. So take a moment to write down the new belief. So even if you don't believe it yet, you're building a new habit of thinking. So it'll take some time for you to take action from this new belief, and the new action causes new results, and that helps to reprogram the pattern. So it doesn't get reprogrammed just by you thinking the new belief. You actually have to take action based on this new belief and then reinterpret what happens as a result. But just to get you motivated to take that action, I'd like you to ask yourself, what are 3 reasons that this new belief is true? Just so your unconscious mind begins to get evidence, right? Because that's what it needs, is evidence in order to believe it. So your new belief, let's say that you're lovable. What are 3 reasons that this is true? So for example, who else in your life loves you? Or what would you say to a friend who had this same negative belief as you do? So I'll give you a moment to write down that evidence. And you can keep writing, and I'll just ask you to notice how you feel when you find the evidence to support this new belief is true. It should start shifting the feeling just a little bit right away. And then what'll really give you the reprogramming is to take action from this new belief. So the question is, what different actions would you take if you believe this new belief is true? And you can write that down. And so this is the beginning of how you shift this belief. Now, because we created these beliefs in relationship with others, it really helps to reprogram them in a relationship with others, which is what I do when I work with clients, either one-on-one or in groups. So there's 6 simple steps that fit together like a puzzle in my belief shifting process. And we've just gone through the first 3, which is to identify the belief. And then there's a deeper process that I lead clients through to really discover what it is. We just went through a very simple one. And then once you go through that deeper process, it's a really guided process that I lead people through. And they allow their inner guidance to connect with what's really true for them. Then they can take different actions. And the thing is that your brain is like a computer, and we're creatures of habit. So each time we think a thought, it creates a neural pathway in the brain, and our old beliefs are like superhighways, and new beliefs are like tiny little paths that we cut to the forest ourselves, with a knife. And forging this new path or new habit of taking actions takes consistent practice before it becomes your reality. And it really helps as well. Another shift in my belief shifting process that I do with clients one-on-one and in groups is something that they see amazing results with, because you'll still have some resistance inside you when you try to change this pattern. So what I help clients to do is actually something called reparenting, which is an embodied step-by-step process that helps them to develop a loving relationship between the different parts of them. And to treat this part of you that holds this belief like a child, and to lovingly nurture and empower this child so that you actually feel safe to take the new actions. And that usually requires a group of people that are empowering you. And, when I work with people one-on-one, I encourage them to reach out to the people in their life and really help empower them in this new belief. And really take the actions and work together with all the parts of you so that you fall deeply in love with all the parts of you. So you're not judging the part of you that has the belief. You're really helping that part of you to grow up like you would help a child grow up. So you don't judge a child for being immature. You just, lovingly talk to that child the way that they need to be nurtured and loved in order to believe something new. And then you integrate that part into the whole of you so that you actually believe that new belief is true. And then you're empowered to take actions. And of course, in coaching, you have the accountability to take new actions and to interpret what happens in the context of this new belief. So that's what fully reprograms it. So for example, I worked with a client named Becky who would go on a lot of dates, but they never turned into a serious relationship. She either liked the guy and he wasn't into her, or they would be really attracted to her and she wasn't turned on by them. Has that happened to you? So when we looked into her beliefs, she discovered that deep down, she believed that if a man really saw deep into her, he wouldn't want her. So she wasn't lovable deep down. That was her belief. So that caused her to act kind of closed off. And men she was attracted to experienced her as cold, so they'd lose interest. So in our coaching, I supported Becky in learning to open up about her feelings and desires and interests and receive back positive feedback from the other women in her life. And she also started journaling and meditating and doing this reparenting practice so she could really give herself the love and acceptance that she wanted from a man. And then she was able to open up with men on dates. And within a few months, she met Andrew, who was a wonderful gentleman who really loved who she was on the inside now that she was sharing her feelings and desires. And they've been together for over a year now, and they just got engaged. So once you see the results in applying this process, then you can really have confidence in this blueprint to bust through any limiting belief, and not just with your relationships, but imagine never being tortured by that inner dialogue that tells you that you're not good enough, you can't find love, you're too old, you're not pretty enough. Whatever beliefs are sabotaging you will be the thing of the past. And you could also use this process to reprogram limiting beliefs in your career or with your health. So anything's possible. So let's move on to pitfall number 2, shall we? So pitfall number 2 is the patterns that we get caught in. So think about it. In your previous relationships, did you give too much? I know that used to be mine. Did you keep attracting unavailable men? Or maybe your exes were cold or distant, or maybe you were cheated on. So there's an unconscious part of us that attracts the same pattern over and over again. And once you shine the light of loving awareness on these patterns so that you can make different choices, then you can step out of the pattern and once and for all attract a man who's actually loving, available, and wants to sweep you off your feet. So now we'll identify the patterns that get you stuck. So the purpose here is not to make you wrong, but because awareness of the pattern helps to break the pattern. Patterns always only have power over us when they're unconscious. So once we identify them, we can heal them. So I'd like you to identify whether the following patterns are true for either you or the men that you keep attracting. So maybe you or the men you attract are emotionally unavailable or avoid becoming too close. Or maybe the men you attract fear commitment, or maybe you do. I mean, commitment is sometimes a scary thing. A lot of women I've attracted are scared of commitment. Has fear of rejection become an issue, or do you attract men who are unfaithful, or they criticize you, or maybe they're jealous or controlling, or they have a temper, or they're moody, or maybe you have these things. I mean, I've certainly used to be reactive when I got angry, and I had to learn the tools to transform that. Or maybe you find it hard to end a relationship even when you realize it's harmful for you. And once you've identified the patterns that keep repeating, I'd like you to ask yourself a question. Now, this might sound crazy, and it's a little bit like the Band-Aid being pulled off, but it's worth it. So the question is, how much do these patterns remind you of your relationship with your parents or caretakers or siblings growing up? Because patterns, like limiting beliefs, were put in place at one point to keep us from feeling painful feelings. We also tend to attract partners who are like our parents or caretakers because our unconscious mind wants us to repeat the past in an attempt to achieve a happy ending this time around. And this happens very often. Or sometimes, like it was for me in my 20s, I attracted guys because I was like, I'm never going to be with someone who was like controlling, like I experienced as a kid. So I wanted to be the one in control. And then I attracted men that were the opposite of my parents. But either way, you're reacting from this pattern. So believe it or not, most people choose a partner who emotionally resembles the parent or caretaker who didn't meet their needs as children. Or like I said, it's the opposite in a dysfunctional way. Because this partner is similar to their parents, they soon repeat the pattern of their childhood. So just like the last example, if your dad was emotionally cold or distant, you keep choosing partners who turn out to be cold or distant. And soon you're feeling the same pain that you felt as a child all over again. So just ask yourself if that resonates for you. So your unconscious mind thinks that this time around you can somehow get your partner to give you the love or attention that your parents never did. And so a lot of times what happens is that no matter how much your partner ignores or hurts you, you try even harder to be loving, hoping that you'll finally experience a happy ending to your childhood. But that happy ending never comes because your partner is as unskilled and limited as your parents were. So if you approach me as a couple and you are both willing to grow and learn to meet each other's needs, then I can help you grow together. But the good news is, since you're single, you can break the pattern yourself and start attracting men who are actually loving and kind and generous and responsible and fun. This is the type of man you deserve to be with. And no, I didn't personally find the last one in existence for myself. There's plenty out there. And I like this slide because it depicts it perfectly. People always say there's plenty of fish in the sea. Yeah, but I got my eye fixed on that one specific emotionally distant salmon who has commitment issues. So even if there are plenty of fish, if you want to find the right one, we have to change the pattern. So the only way out of this unhealthy pattern is to learn how to give yourself the kind of love and care that you lacked as a child. This will reprogram your brain that that's what you deserve, and you'll start to attract and, more importantly, be attracted to more loving partners. Because that's what happens when you shift how you're treating yourself and how you're showing up for yourself now. You'll actually be attracted to different kinds of men. That's what's happened with a lot of the clients I've worked with and myself. So, the way to do this is to identify your most important emotional needs that have been unmet for most of your life and learn how to have them met when you're single so you can experience the love that's all around you. So, in my coaching program, I lead my clients through a process that helps them identify these key unmet needs and first learn to meet them yourself and with the loved ones who are already in your life. So, when you're able to learn how to get your needs met before you meet a man, he'll experience you as confident and self assured and a keeper, and naturally put you in the long term relationship category, not just a hookup or stringing you along. And you won't settle for a man who can't meet your needs because you won't be needy. You'll be able to enjoy the way he meets your needs, but you won't be starved for these things because you'll know the secret of how to get them from yourself and from your friends and family that are already in your life. So, does that make sense? Most women never learn this, and then even when they do attract a partner, after a few weeks or years, they become unsatisfied because they never discovered their most important emotional needs and how to truly get them met. So something's always sabotaging them from truly getting what they deserve. And most of us know what we want, but do you know what you most deeply need? We usually have a list of qualities that you want in a partner. And even if you did my 5-day adventure and you have your must-haves, a lot of times it doesn't include the qualities he needs to have to meet your deepest emotional needs, because that's what'll really help you be satisfied in the long term. So I have a process that teaches you how to identify your deepest needs, how to get them met now, and how to identify the qualities that your partner needs to have in order to meet those needs. This is the key to having a deep, lasting love. Skip this step and something's always messing up the relationship. So I make sure that my group coaching and private clients really get this, and it's a game changer and quickly. All right, so are you ready for pitfall number 3 so you can learn to avoid it? So the third pitfall is your relationship skills. So you can visualize the man that you want and even meet him. But if you don't know how to turn date 1 into date 2, or share your feelings and desires in an inspiring way, or how to hear him when he's upset and not take it personally, or inspire him to deeper commitment, then you might attract a great guy, but then not have the skills to keep the relationship going long term. So take a moment and think about the relationship skills that you need to learn to make love last a lifetime. In the 5-day online adventure that I recently hosted, I helped women clarify their vision, their values, their must-haves, and their deal breakers. And I help them create a plan for how they're going to meet quality men. So those are essential skills that I support women in implementing in my one-on-one and group programs. And once you're clear on all that and you're interacting with quality men, there's 3 additional skills that you need to have to inspire his love, devotion, and commitment in the long term. So I'm excited to share these skills with you. So skill number 1 is how to create magnetic connection on a date. So that means that you're really tuning into deeper questions to ask, creating this emotional connection right away in a way that, doesn't intimidate men or scare them away. That's fun and playful. And remember, I'm also going to share one of these tools to create a deep connection on a date at the end of the webinar. So for example, I worked with Melanie. She was an attractive woman in her 40s who met attractive men, but then they didn't call her back, and she wasn't sure what she was doing wrong. So I helped her to see how she was inadvertently pushing men away because she didn't understand how to create an inspiring connection in the very beginning. She kind of stayed on the surface because she was scared to ask men about their beliefs and, deeper questions about themselves. So they were putting her into the wrong category in the man's mind because she stayed kind of superficial and she never got a chance, which was so heartbreaking. She thought something was wrong with her, but we just made a few changes and she had men calling her back nearly 100% of the time. And then she got to choose who she wanted to get to know deeper. So when you know how to screen your dates deeply and authentically and create a deep, fun, and playful connection, not just, have them feel like they're interviewed, then you'll have wonderful conversations, even if they're not a match. And then dating is fun and will eventually lead to you meeting your Mr. Right because you'll enjoy dating. So I'd like you to take a moment and ask yourself, when I imagine going on dates, does it feel fun or does it feel like work? Because if it's the latter, then you need to learn this skill so that you'll enjoy the process, because that's when your inner radiant self will really come out and be attractive. So that's skill number 1, how to create magnetic connection. Skill number 2 is how to navigate chemistry and compatibility over the first few months. So there's basically 2 pitfalls that I see women falling into with chemistry. The first is blindly getting swept away in chemistry, which feels amazing for a few months, right? And then it usually burns out and leads to heartbreak. I know I've been there. We've all been swept away by a guy who's hot and charming, missing red flags, or maybe ignoring them, and realizing later that he's a player or emotionally unavailable. In these cases, the skill is how to vet him for compatibility before you get too attached. How to slow down and see his true colors earlier and be unwilling to compromise and settle on what we really need to be happy, to feel deeply loved and safe and fulfilled. And there's an art to doing that in a way that you can still enjoy the chemistry, but you're not really allowing yourself to go too far so that you get attached to someone who's really not what you're looking for. And the second pitfall is when we're not feeling chemistry on the first date with a guy who's amazing in all other ways. We need to learn how to nurture the right environment for chemistry to develop. So that doesn't mean you should date guys that turn you off. But chemistry sometimes needs a little time to develop. So many women kill the connection before it starts, right? Because I work with a lot of women that reject men right off the bat because maybe he's bald or he's too short. And I'm not saying that you should date a man who turns you off, like I said. But when you look at it, you have a continuum of men to whom you're attracted, right? So let's say it's a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being you're disgusted, and 10 being that you feel fireworks just from looking at him, right? So usually the people who are a 9 or 10 out of 10, there's so much chemistry because he's triggering your unprocessed childhood wounds. This is usually unconscious, but the men who have the negative personality traits that our parents did, after the honeymoon phase wears off, something inside of us is saying, ooh, this will be a happy ending to my childhood. Not always, but when there's fireworks before you really get to know him, that's usually what's going on unconsciously. So I actually encourage women to go out with men who are like a 6, 7, or 8, where you do feel some chemistry, but it's not fireworks like the first time you see him. I'm not saying love at first sight doesn't exist. I think it does for some people. But if you are experiencing chemistry with guys and then they fall into the same pattern, then what I encourage women to do is to go out with men who are like a 6, 7, or 8. And the skill is how to build chemistry by pacing the relationship, not getting physical too quickly, and creating the right environment for chemistry to grow. And then you'll know after a few dates if you're developing attraction or not. That's a skill I help women really get. We don't learn this anywhere, and it's hard to do that on your own because our unconscious childhood wounds keep us going after the same people, even with a different name, but it ends up being the same guy, right? So now this is not settling. Settling is when you commit to someone who doesn't make you happy. With most single women I've coached, their now husbands were not a 10 out of 10 in the beginning, and they might have been men that my clients would have rejected at first. But what happened when they nurtured the right environment is that the way he treated her with interest and curiosity, chivalry, and their growing connection made him turn into a 10 after a few dates. Her diamond in the rough emerged when she was willing to try what I suggested and see things in a new way. So it's only settling if, after a few dates, there's still no chemistry. And then you might have fears that come up like, what if he falls in love with me and I'm not into him? And that's something that I help women work through in coaching. That's part of this whole skill of navigating the chemistry. So once you learn how to nurture the environment for chemistry to grow, then you'll have access to a huge pool of quality, commitment-friendly men who can make you ecstatically happy. And this skill also includes setting healthy boundaries, right? How to decide what your sexual boundaries are and what your other boundaries are, how to stick up for yourself when something feels wrong in a respectful way that doesn't kill the moment, so you can tell if you can honor your boundaries and respect your feelings. So I also teach you with this skill to be able to let go of men in a respectful way when we realize that he's not the one, rather than dwelling on not wanting to reject people. And I help my clients deal with rejection in a healthy way, to not take it personally, to take disappointments and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? To make positive meaning out of it, to really stay resilient until you find the one. So maybe you've taken a long break from dating, and if you have this skill, then you can learn and jump back in there and stay resilient. All right, so skill number 3 is inspiring commitment. So the third skill is to decide when to be exclusive with a man and keep inspiring deeper commitment. So a lot of women will become exclusive with men just because you want to sleep with them. And think about it. It used to be that women needed commitment before she had sex because she could get pregnant. But now that there's birth control and the sexual revolution, we're usually having sex before the guy makes a lifetime commitment, right? So if you agree to be exclusive with him with no idea of where the relationship is headed, he could just be thinking, I want to have all the benefits of partnership, regular sex, companionship, and I'll make a commitment eventually, maybe. So what's going to motivate him to propose if he's getting everything he needs without it? So I help women navigate those conversations about exclusivity and commitment in a fun, playful way. Because if you ask him in a serious way, where's this relationship going? He'll feel it as a buzzkill. He needs you to be able to speak about your desires in an inspiring way and how to fully receive and appreciate how he is meeting your desires, so he'll be inspired to offer more and more commitment. There's an art to doing this effectively, so he's inspired to step up. So for example, I worked with Natasha, who was about to break up with a man whom she was deeply in love with, because he was also dating another woman and wasn't looking for monogamy yet. So when she would speak about monogamy, he would close down, so she figured that she had to leave him, right? I mean, that's what a lot of women would do. She had spoken about monogamy with him, but she hadn't spoken about her vision for what she wanted with him in an inspiring way, because that felt really vulnerable. So when we talked, I coached her exactly how to share her vision for the deep, soul-shaking love and family that she wanted with him. And we really role-played the conversation so she felt comfortable having it. And it turned out that he was extremely inspired by her vision. And it touched and moved him so much that he was willing to share deeper with her what he needed in order to make that vision a reality. So I coached her on how to listen deeply to what he needed in order to end the relationship with the other woman and be monogamous with her. And then he did. It didn't happen overnight. It actually took a few conversations over the course of a couple months for them to negotiate it. And I talked to her, through all those conversations. But he did let go of the other woman, and now they're planning on getting engaged and moving in together. And if they hadn't had those tough conversations, they would never have been planning on the life that they're creating together. And they're so deeply in love with each other. And he was just so bought into her vision. It was exactly what he was deep down longing and hadn't admitted to himself. So then they never would have been in this situation that they're in now. So imagine the possibility of learning the skills to finally attract a relationship where you feel loved and cherished and adored, like I feel and like my clients feel. So I'd like you to take a moment and ask yourself, which of these skills are you good at? And which do you need support with? Because the thing is that until we have someone really looking at what you're doing, we don't always know how we're contributing to the pattern. Let's say you wanted to learn a sport like skiing and you keep falling down. So you can read all the books you want on skiing, right? And it helps you to have somebody watch you, how you bend your knees and when to switch direction in turns, and point out what mistakes you're making so you can be corrected and ski smoothly down the slope so you can enjoy yourself. If you never had someone point that out for you and help you with what needs to be corrected, you'll keep getting the same poor results. So I have good news for you. In just a couple of weeks, I'm launching a brand new 5-week group coaching program called the Attract and Keep Soul Shaking Love 5-week group coaching program. So during the 5 weeks, I'll hold your hand and support you in implementing the skills that you learn in this online adventure about how to meet men. And if you didn't participate in the online adventure, I'll give you that program for free with enough time to implement it so that you're ready in week 1 to learn these additional 3 skills and reprogram the blocks that we talked about. So each week we'll dive deep into the skills that you need to master meeting Mr. Right and inspire his devotion and commitment. The first couple weeks will be focused on really creating supportive community and together removing the blocks and reprogramming the patterns that keep you stuck attracting the wrong men. And then the program will teach you to master the skills you need to ignite deep love and create the right conditions for it to grow and flourish. So now I want to show you what you'll learn in each of the 5 weeks. And then for those of you who want to get this going, I'll make it ridiculously easy for you to get started. So you can keep viewing the slides. And I'm also going to put the link on the right-hand side that takes you to an info page that I have about the course where you can also purchase it. So let me take a moment to put up that link. Okay, so you should see a little pop-up box on the top of your screen. And if you're watching the replay, you might not see it. And that's okay if you can't see it. I also put the link at the bottom of the slide. So it's coachvaleriegreen.com/SSL for Soul Shaking Love. So I'll keep going with the slide presentation, but if you want to click on that link, you can follow along with me on the page. Just scroll down halfway through the page and you can see the description of where I'm going to talk about the weeks. All right, so here's what I'll cover in each of the 5 weeks. So before the program starts, as soon as you register, you'll get access to the QuickStart Attract Your Mr. Right Guidebook, which is the same guidebook that you got when you registered for the online adventure. But if you didn't do the online adventure, then you'll have access to doing that now. So this allows you to get clarity on your must-have needs and values, to really be empowered in your feminine energy so you radiate inner and outer beauty, guided visualizations to make you magnetic to the relationship that you want, mastering the art of flirting so men are mesmerized by you wherever you go, and to easily enlist friends, family, and connections to support you to attract a stream of high-quality men to attract your Mr. Right. And I know there's a few of you on here who did the adventure and are now looking at this webinar. So if you've already done this work, then it's exciting because in week 1, what we're going to do is we're going to share our visions with each other. And then in week 1, what we're going to do is we're really going to review and implement the key principles from the adventure and the guidebook. And I'll also answer any questions that you have about it. But then more importantly, we're going to develop a results-oriented attract and keep your Mr. Right plan. So with everybody in the coaching program, we're going to develop a customized plan that you're going to execute for the rest of the 5 weeks and how to put these steps into action, whether you're dating men, whether you're flirting with men that you know, whether you're already dating somebody, whether you're dating online. We're going to help you attract a customized plan so that you're meeting high quality men and going on dates. And that way you can really implement the wonderful material that we're going to use in the rest of the program. But everybody in this coaching program might be at a different level, and that's great. So my goal with this program is to really be able to meet everyone where they're at. We're going to keep it to a small group. And we're going to meet every week over video chat or phone. I'll go into that later. And I'll be working with each of you to help you to develop your own customized plan for how you're going to meet men and date them. So some women might already be dating. Some women might need to get back out there. Some women might already be in a relationship. And so what I'm going to do is that half of the call is going to be content that you'll be learning, and half of the call is going to be coaching. They're going to be 90-minute calls. So no matter where you're at, you'll get customized advice. And then we'll have weekly and daily accountability in an online forum that's more private than Facebook. So I know that we had some privacy issues with Facebook recently. So I'm going to find an online community that's private, that's actually private. And in week 1, we'll really go over a simple 5-minute process to connect to your inner guidance and self-love, so that you feel on track and confident which actions to take in your Attract and Keep Your Mr. Right plan that we developed for you. So then in week 2, we're really going to go through the process that I talked about in the webinar, the 6-step process to transform the limiting belief sabotaging you from attracting and keeping your Mr. Right. So while you're going out there and implementing your plan to meet men and go on dates, you're also going to be reprogramming your beliefs and showing up with them in a new way. So we'll really easily apply, and I'll guide you through, and I'll also give you it all written out, a 6-step process to reparent the wounded parts of yourself so that you really heal old wounds at their roots and fall deeply in love with all of yourself and really live from your deepest truth. And you'll receive support to take actions from a place of your new beliefs so that you can become magnetic to all the things that you want. And this is the process that I have done with my one-on-one clients that's gotten them and me, of course, these great results. All right, so week 3 is, while we're still implementing your plan and receiving accountability for what actions you're going to take to meet men and go on dates, then we're going to also reprogram your patterns and behaviors so you attract quality conscious men. So we'll identify your key emotional needs and how to get them met now, and how to identify the qualities that your partner needs to have to meet those needs. So you can redo your must-haves so that you're actually looking for these deep qualities. And persuasively communicate your needs to your friends, family, and coworkers so they're inspired to meet them. And I'll teach you great communication tools to use to be able to inspire people and not seem needy. And get your needs easier and faster through collaboration and partnership instead of nagging, complaining, or controlling. So you can use these tools with your friends and family as well, not just with men. And then in week 4, you learn how to create deep connection and navigate chemistry and compatibility with ease. So I'll help you to brainstorm now that we've really identified your deeper must-haves to meet your needs, new places that you might be able to meet men, key simple do's and don'ts to make your first date feel easy, and how to take the connection deeper and ask him deeper questions about himself to determine compatibility without it feeling like an interview so that it's still fun. And how to easily tell if you're compatible and how to create chemistry over time, how to create empowered and loving boundaries, and to know when and how to let go of a man that's not a match for you. So I'll actually give you the exact words to use to let go of a man that's not a match for you, even if, whether it's after a first date or whether it's been a couple months. Either way, I'll give you scripts to use that, of course, you can customize to yourself so that you feel confident about saying it and you're still being affirming and respectful. And then in week 5, we really learn how to inspire commitment. So this means being authentic and vulnerable and sharing your feelings and desires in a safe and inspiring way so he falls deeply in love with you. How to navigate conversations about exclusivity and commitment in a way that men enjoy so that you feel empowered and respected. how to decide when to be exclusive with the right man and inspire him to want that with you. And there's a 5-step process that I teach to ask for what you want in a way that inspires him to give it to you. And how to align with your man's deepest purpose so that he sees you as the irreplaceable only woman for him. Like he can't do what he most wants to do in life without you, because that's definitely how my partner feels. This is what sustains his commitment over time. So you might be wondering, how does the Attract and Keep Soul Shaking Love 5-week group coaching program work, and exactly what does it include? So when you sign up, you'll have immediate access to the QuickStart Guidebook from the online adventure, Become a High-Quality Man Magnet and Attract Your Mr. Right. And if you already have that, you'll also get the bonuses that I'll talk about, but you'll be able to really implement the plan and then share your plan and your vision with all of us and create a shared community for your vision in week 1. So the calls will start Wednesday on February 28th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you can't make the calls, they'll be recorded. You'll also get access to an online community where I'll be on there every day moderating the conversations and answering your questions so you can have support and accountability. So if you can't make the calls on Wednesday nights, they'll be recorded. And you could also email me questions to answer on the calls, or you could just email me questions in the online community and I'll answer them there. And even if you made the calls, you can still listen to the recordings to help you implement them. You'll also get a guidebook, which I'm still editing, but it's about 100 pages of content. So I really outline and write out everything for you, and I give you step-by-step processes, and I'll give you guided recordings and meditations for the practices, and you'll receive a private password to log in and access them in the members area, and everything will be private. Plus, you'll also get 1/3 off additional one-on-one coaching sessions with me during the 5 weeks, and you'll get one one-on-one call with me included to use anytime during the 5 weeks so that we can customize your plan one-on-one with me. And that's $150 value just for that. And then you'll get 1/3 off additional calls during the 5 weeks if you need more one-on-one support. So with all of this support, I've really got your back, and we'll all have each other's back too. So this is the same information in this 100-page manual that I teach in my 3-month one-on-one private coaching program, which I charge $2,000 for. But because I want to make this information available to more single women, I'm offering this course at a price that anyone can afford. And plus, I'm also going to throw in the following bonuses. So bonus number 1 is a recorded audio class and workbook, how to win his heart and inspire him to step up and claim you. So it's how to inspire him that you're the one in the first few months of dating. So I include both the MP3 audio class and an ebook, so you can absorb all of the valuable tips. So in this course, you'll have access to it right away as soon as you purchase the program. So the program starts on February 28th, but you'll have access to this right away. And then bonus number 2 is another class that I created called Why Men Pull Away and What to Do About It. That's another 20, it's an MP3 and an ebook. And so you'll have access to that as soon as you purchase the course. And then I'm throwing in another bonus by a colleague of mine called the Coaching from Spirit's Empowered Manifester Home Study Course. And she charges $597 for this. It's something that I've really found useful to reprogram my limiting beliefs and patterns. And so this is all recorded, and you can go through this, and it really enables you to tap into a universal spiritual energy system to attract what you want in your life. And it's great prep work for what to do in my course. So she let me throw it in for free because we're colleagues. And plus, for the first 7 people that register, I'm going to throw in an additional 90-minute one-on-one coaching session with me to be used anytime in 2018. So you'll already get one one-on-one coaching session with me included in the group coaching program. So if you're one of the first 7 people to register, you'll get one one-on-one coaching session during the 5 weeks, but then you'll also get an additional one that you can use anytime this year. So just those 2 sessions alone are worth $300. So the reason that I'm doing this is because I really want to create a supportive group. I've just noticed that women that create this supportive group, they get the results even faster. So you can use this session anytime during the year where, let's say you get into a relationship and, something's feeling off and you're not sure how to communicate it, because that's what I do is I help you to role play what you're going to say so it's inspiring to him. Or, you want to have the where's this relationship going talk, and we can jump on this call and I can really share with you exactly how to do that in an inspiring way. So remember that client, Natasha, who was about to break up with the man that she was deeply in love with. And because we role played the conversation, that inspired him to break up with the other woman and commit to her. So this additional session can be really valuable. So how much would you expect to pay for a course that has all this value and all these bonuses? So right now, I'm going to be charging it for $297. And the reason for that is because this is my pilot group coaching program for singles. I've done a group coaching program for women in relationships, and I've worked with a lot of singles. But this is my pilot group coaching program for singles. So I really want to make it available at a price that anyone can afford so we can create the supportive group and support each other. And so what I'm going to do is just for the next week, the early bird price is $197. And in a week, it'll go back up to $297. So basically, at 11:59 p.m. on 2/20, the price goes back up to $297, which is still an unbelievable deal. Like I said, it's worth it just for the 2 one-on-one coaching sessions, plus you get all the additional content and the community and the accountability and the online support. So my suggestion is sign up for this today and get the 2 90-minute sessions. And then I'll schedule a time for us to talk to make sure that this is a match for you before week 2. So if you don't like it, you can try the course for a week and get a full refund, which I'm also offering is that if you decide to join the course and you go to one class and realize it doesn't work for you, then if you just email me anytime before week 2 and say it doesn't work for you, I'll give you a full refund. So we'll use this first 90-minute call to take you through my proprietary breakthrough to lasting love process to really hone in on what's sabotaging you on an inner and outer level and how to shift those patterns fast. And you'll leave with a customized plan of action that you can take into the group with you and also take into the rest of your life. And like I said, if after week 1 it's not a match for you, I'll joyfully refund your money. So here is the guarantee. So like I said, if you contact me anytime before week 2, I will refund your money and you'll get to keep all the bonuses, all the bonus classes and the Coaching from Spirits class. So because I've been doing this for 13 years and worked with thousands of people, I know a thing or two about how people decide to take advantage of a no-brainer opportunity. And at this point, most people wonder, okay, Valerie, so I know there's a huge discount for saying yes today. And I know you've eliminated any possible risk, but what I want to know is, does it really work? And of course, I'll be answering your questions in a few minutes. Will this course work if my boyfriend is the one with the issue? So in this course, you'll learn how to take back your own power, your own pleasure, and radiate self-love so that you'll know what's really right for you. And you'll also learn how to tune into what your man needs in order to give you what you need and how to inspire the right man for you. And if he's not the right man for you, the tools and practices will help you to be resourced enough to attract a man who is right for you. Maybe you'll be like Kathy, who thought she was too old at 50 to find love, and she found her husband after a few months of working with me. Or like Crystal, who dreaded dating so much that she took a 10-year break. And after she worked with me, she found her husband within a few months, and she was engaged 6 months after that. So that's why I've created this step-by-step curriculum that takes you through all the steps and provides solutions and answers and strategies and tools with me to answer your questions. And remember, there's no risk to sign up because you can sign up and then if you decide by week 2 it's not for you, I'll give you your money back. So I'd like you to think, what's the struggle costing you? So what's it costing you to feel lonely when you see couples? Or get dressed up and go on many unsuccessful dates? So go ahead and write that down. Is it costing you joy? And how about your health? Because when we feel lonely, that actually lowers our immunity. And what about money? Are you doing retail therapy, or maybe you're spending it on therapy? And this program is a more fun, inexpensive way to remove blocks and attract a quality man. Year after year, I hear from so many women who are frustrated, and they all strive to meet the love of their life or have better boundaries in their relationships. But those changes only happen with consistent practice and support. So that's why the course is a no-brainer, because it can lead to your love life transforming. So the way I see it, you have a choice. You can keep going with the status quo, which means this year will look a lot like last year with you still struggling. But I don't think that you'd be here right now if you'd be okay with that. And truly, if you could have done this on your own, you would have by now, right? It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to invest in yourself. One client I worked with is a social worker and was always worried about money. We used this system and we worked through her belief that she couldn't attract a financially secure man. And she started getting more dates with higher caliber men, and she used my vetting process and had men mesmerized by her. And she had 3 men, and they were all looking for a serious relationship. They all made over 6 figures and wanted to give her everything she desired. They gave her gifts, and she had such a tremendous sense of abundance just because their abundance overflowed onto her. So they were aligned emotionally and spiritually. She told me it was beyond her imagination. I helped her tune into her inner guidance for which man was her soulmate. And that's a good problem to have, right? She had an amazing wedding with a top wedding planner in New York, and her husband just came back from a month vacation in Italy. Dreams come true, but it never would have happened if she didn't apply the system. She would have kept doing the same things and getting the same results. She had to decide to draw that line in the sand and say no more. This year it's going to be different. Just think what'll change if you don't do this. I'm not attached to you doing it. It won't change my life, but it will change yours. But you have to decide that enough is enough. And remember, the course is all online, so you can access it from anywhere. And if you can't make the Wednesday night calls, you can listen to the audios while you're cleaning or commuting and share yourself in the private online forum. So I'd just like you to think for a moment, what's a loving, passionate relationship worth to you? Let's imagine 10 years from now. Are you going to be okay with the way things are now, or are you going to take action to create the relationship you desire? You can learn how to find the right man for you and inspire his adoration and commitment, and no amount of money is too much for that. So you'll have immediate access to that QuickStart guidebook as soon as you sign up, so you can start implementing the practices right away. So either click the button at the right, or if you're watching the replay, go to the link at the bottom of the slide and transform your love life. So I truly want to help you to meet your Mr. Right. And now we're going to go into that deep connection tool that I shared at the end, because I promised that if you stayed until the end, I would help you to create a deep connection on a date and share a little known tool. So thanks for staying until the end. Don't worry, we'll get to questions in just a minute. So most people don't realize that the words you say only account for 10% of what's communicated. The other 90% is communicated through your tone of voice and body language. So I'll share with you now how to use your body language to create a deep and mesmerizing connection. So first, I'd like you to focus on yourself. So right now, you can just notice how you're breathing and take a deep, relaxing belly breath if you're nervous. I mean, not that you'd be nervous watching my webinar, but practice just taking a deep, relaxing breath. Practice, imagine standing in front of an attractive guy and taking a deep belly breath. Now imagine you're on a date and you're looking at him. I'd like you to notice if your shoulders are tense or relaxed, and consciously relax your shoulders. And I'd like you to make lots of eye contact, even if it's uncomfortable. Believe it or not, he won't be able to tell if you're uncomfortable if you're relaxed and taking deep breaths. He'll just feel your attention on him and he'll like it. So now we'll focus on creating a deep sense of connection and trust with him. So this technique can create a deep sense of connection and trust. We'll do this by subtly matching and mirroring his body language, his breathing, and his vocal tempo. So for example, if he leans in, wait a few seconds, don't do it right away because then you'll be parroting him, but just wait a few seconds and lean forward too. Not in an exaggerated way, just kind of slightly lean forward, just slightly mirror his body language. He'll begin to feel more open around you. He'll feel deeply connected. And the other thing is, if you're really focusing on subtly matching and mirroring his body language, because you'll be focusing on these things instead. Then you can experiment with noticing how he's breathing and breathe at the same rate. You can tell this by watching his shoulders rise and fall. I worked with one client to use this on dates, and the man who later became her husband told her he felt something very different than he ever experienced before on a first date. She never told him about the process, but used it every time they got together. He told her after 3 weeks he couldn't stop thinking about her. She kept popping into his head all day long. Of course, she was using the whole system, and within 2 months he proposed. Of course, I encouraged them to have a long engagement, right? So they had a year-long engagement, and she was able to help inspire him to meet all her needs and desires by using the system that I coached her on. So I want to thank you for watching this webinar. It's my deepest privilege. I get to do what I love, and it's because of you that I get that privilege. So I deeply thank you. So you can click on the link to attract your Mr. Right and say yes to yourself in the relationship of your dreams. Let's just have you feeling wanted and beautiful and knowing that you're loved, because there's just so much inner strength in having a secure, loving partnership. And I want that for you. I'm your mentor, showing you how to have that. Because if I can have it and my clients can have it, then you can have it too. So I can't wait to connect with you and support you in making your dreams come true. And now it's time for Q&A. Yay. So I'm going to have you see me again. Hi. And you can type your questions into the chat. Oh, okay. I'm noticing people sharing that the sound dropped off at some point. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully it's back on. It should be connected. Hopefully the radiator wasn't too loud. So I'm reading your chats now. I invite you to just type a question into the chat box if you want. And if you don't have a question right now, or it takes you a moment to think of one, I'm going to take a look at some questions that people emailed me. So I'll just keep checking the chat to see if you have questions. If not, you can just listen to me answer other people's questions, or maybe you type these in. I don't know who's on there. There's 9 people here now still, so maybe one of you typed in these questions. Let's see. All right, but I won't say the people's names that emailed me the questions because they didn't say that I could. But if this question came from you, or there's also an option if you don't want to chat. There's a little hand icon if you see on, there's this blue area. If you're watching this live, there's a blue area, and at the bottom there's a hand icon where you can. Oh, Rose said sounds keep dropping and slides went off. Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that. I don't know if that was your computer or if that was the webinar. That would be sad if it was the webinar. But I mean, I don't hope there's something wrong with your computer, Rose. I hope your computer's okay. People can tell me, can you guys hear me now? Is the sound okay right now? Well, anyway, there is an option for you to raise your hand. So what you would do is click on this little hand icon. What'll happen is it'll invite you to come on as a presenter, and then you can interact live with me. It'll take you through a series of tests to test your microphone and your camera, and then you can actually come on and interact with me, and I can coach you, right now. But of course, everyone else would be watching it, so that's your choice if you want to do that. Otherwise, you can just type your questions into the chat. So if you raise your hand, then I'll let you come on as a presenter, but I understand if that feels scary. So, all right, I got a question from somebody this afternoon. She says, Val, I have a hard time trusting that I can really have true love because my parents are divorced and even my grandparents are divorced. I seem to attract bad boys that cheat on me and then I take them back. So how do I break this cycle? So that's a very common issue. We all have patterns, as I described. And like I said, my pattern used to be that I attracted men in my 20s where I was giving too much. I didn't want to be controlled by someone. So I attracted men that I could control. But then, of course, I would tell him what to do and try to manage things, and I would give too much, and then I wouldn't feel taken care of. And so it really wasn't until I worked through that pattern, which really allowed me to admit to myself that to have a better relationship with control, to be able to let go of control. So I had to work with my beliefs the way that we talked about in the first part of the program. And then I actually had to identify my deep need to be taken care of and to receive. And that felt really vulnerable for me because what if I wasn't going to get it? I had to learn how to ask for what I wanted and receive it and fully take that in and be vulnerable. And once I learned how to practice that with friends, then I started attracting men that actually wanted to provide for me. But I had to be able to learn how to collaborate and not be in this control or be controlled paradigm. So if you look at it, that's limiting beliefs, patterns, and skills that I had to learn. And that's what all my clients learn as well, but of course I went through it myself. If you remember that client that I talked about, Melanie, did I talk about her in this webinar? She's one of the testimonials on the course page. She used to also attract bad boys and men that didn't treat her well. And it wasn't really until she looked at what her emotional needs were and did the repatterning process and started to realize how to get those needs met now that her life transformed. And she didn't believe this was going to happen, but she actually started being attracted to different kinds of men. And she wasn't as attracted to the bad boy type. Because when you think about it, what makes bad boys attractive is that they're confident, they know what they want, they go after that. But there's men out there who are confident and go after what they want that also are kind and generous and respectful and commitment friendly. So she knew that she wanted those qualities in a man. She just didn't feel that sense of satisfaction unless a guy was really treating her well. So she actually, it's sort of like the emotional needs that we have are kind of like a thermostat. So once you learn how to turn the thermostat up inside yourself in your life now, then it's set at a different point and you actually won't be attracted to guys that have that thermostat setting. Like your thermostat will be raised higher, if that makes sense. So it's doing the work of reprogramming your limiting beliefs and patterns and learning the skills that you need to learn in order to attract different kinds of men. But yes, of course, it's possible. All right. Any more questions? Does anybody have any questions about the course? I know I answered a lot of questions already, and you're welcome to email me at valerie@coachvaleriegreen.com if you have any questions about the course and whether it's right for you. All right, I'll just keep, I was emailed 3 questions by women, so I'm happy to to answer them. And like I said, if it's you who asked that question, feel free to identify yourself and I can work with you on the webinar. Otherwise, maybe they'll be watching the replay. Okay. Another woman emailed me, I met a man that I really fell for, and I think he feels the same, but he's divorced and says he doesn't see himself getting married in the near future. So how do I help him see that I'm the one? So this is also very common. So like I said, when I met my partner, he said he wasn't looking for a committed relationship, right? So what to do in that case at first is to pace the relationship, to not get too attached to him. I would recommend if a guy says that in the beginning, take that at face value. The thing to do is to identify what qualities are really attractive to you in him and refine your must-haves so that now you know that you want a man with those qualities. That doesn't mean you have to stop dating him, right? Like I dated my partner when he said that because I was attracted to him, and I also dated other men. And then because I was applying, so what I was doing with him is I was asking him these deeper questions. I was creating a very deep connection with him right off the bat. He jokes with me because I don't recommend this to everyone, but like we met in a very personal growth oriented community. So I asked him, what's your purpose on our second date? And he was just like, no woman's ever asked me that before. But I asked him all kinds of the deeper questions about himself. And, he kind of looked at me at the end of our second date and he's like, I know that I'm just looking to date casually, but I'm kind of getting, I can't do that with you. Right. And I'm like, nope. And then he's like, okay. So, but I still kept dating other men. That's the key, is that you can't assume that he's the one until he says he's the one. So if you keep dating other men and this guy who says he's not looking for a committed relationship, it doesn't mind you dating other men after a couple months, he is not your guy. Because what'll happen after a couple months, if you keep connecting with him in this way where you're applying these tools that I'm teaching, remember in skill number 1 is how to create a deep connection. If you're really creating a deep connection with him after a couple months, he should ask you all on his own to be exclusive. And if that doesn't happen, keep dating other men until you find a man who feels that way about you, that you feel that way about him. So what happened after a couple months of me dating my partner was that he said that. He's like, okay, I don't want you to date other men. What do I need to provide so that you're exclusive with me? And I basically told him, okay, like here's the kind of relationship I'm looking for. I need to know that we're moving towards that. And he's like, okay, I'm willing to move towards that. I really like you. And, I told him what my needs were, what my emotional needs were, what my relationship needs were. And we actually, like, after a few months, we worked out agreements on how we were going to meet each other's needs and, how we were going to move towards a relationship with more and more commitment. And we negotiated those conversations, and it was also in a fun way for both of us. So that's what I teach women how to implement, and that's what I've taught my clients how to implement. But like I said, that conversation should really be instigated by him. It's not you asking where the relationship is going. It's you enjoying yourself and keeping on dating other men. And when he asks you where the relationship is going, that's where you can, start saying, oh, okay, well, I'm looking for something serious. Are you? And here's the vision I'm looking for. What's the vision you're looking for? And you start talking about it when he brings it up. So hopefully that answers your question enough now. But in the coaching program, I actually give you scripts that you can use, and I help role play these conversations with you because it's already 9:30. So we've already been going an hour and a half. I'll answer another question or two, but I'm not going to give you all those scripts now over the webinar because that's a little bit beyond what I can cover in a webinar. But I'm really excited to have those conversations with you in the coaching program if that's what you choose to do. Shanita says, thank you. She's going to bed. And she looks forward to being in the program with you all. Yay! I really look forward to interacting with you, Shanita. I've loved interacting with you on the Facebook group. You've always had such awesome positive energy. So I really look forward to supporting you. That's very exciting. And thank you for joining us. So, all right, I'm going to answer one more question. I got emailed one more question. If you have any more questions, feel free to type them into the chat. One more question was, Val, most guys I meet want sex too quickly. I don't know what too quickly means to her, but I have an idea. How do I talk about that I feel I need to be in an exclusive relationship before I have sex? So yes, of course. So what I recommend is that, well, first of all, I mean, I don't have any judgments around sex. Whatever women choose to do around sex is their own, prerogative. And what I recommend, if you're one of those women that needs exclusivity to have sex, I don't recommend that you become exclusive with him just because you're having sex with him. Because what happens then is you take yourself off the market for other guys, you get emotionally attached to him. And if he doesn't have the vision that you're looking for a relationship, if he doesn't have the qualities that can meet your emotional needs, if he has any red flags or deal breakers, if he's not looking to create the soul-shaking love that you're looking to create, and you become exclusive with him just because you're having sex, then basically you'll wind up, in a serial monogamous relationship that lasts a couple of years and then move on to the next serial monogamous relationship, which is what a lot of people do. But if you really want to meet the one with whom you have this soul-shaking connection, and you need sex to have exclusivity, then before you have sex, you need to go out with him enough times to tell if he has both, your must-have qualities, the qualities that he needs to have to meet your emotional needs. If you have this mind, body, soul, heart connection, if you've gone to a really deep level with him and what vision he sees for his life. And like I said, there are inspiring ways to have these conversations that men actually experience as fun. And so before you know all those things, don't go to a private place with him. It's really great to flirt with him and kiss him and maybe make out in the car when he's driving you home, but don't invite him in. And don't accept his invitation to make dinner for you at his place, because what he means is that I want you for dessert. Because when men are in private, they want to take their clothes off. That's just the way it works. So for the first, I don't know. I mean, I don't have a rule about how many dates you should go on before you sleep with somebody, but I would say it takes at least a month, if you're dating once a week, to really get to know somebody on this deep level. And if a guy is looking for a serious relationship, he'll be willing to wait that long, as long as you're flirting and making out and letting him know that you like him. And what you can say is, look, I'm just not ready to go all the way yet, because I'm only intimate with men that are my boyfriend, and I'm still getting to know you to see whether I want you to be my boyfriend. And then he'll be like, oh, well, what do you need to know? And then you can start having these conversations. And if he leaves after then he was probably just looking for something casual, and that's not what you're looking for. So I would say to hold out until you meet somebody that's willing to wait until you have those deep conversations first. I think it was about at least a month before my partner and I were intimate, before we went over each other's places. And we had these incredible conversations when we went out to dinner, and we went out and played volleyball together, and we rubbed each other's shoulders and caressed each other, and we were physical. We just didn't do it because I felt like I needed to have a deep emotional and mental, spiritual connection with him, and in order to really make love. And so when we did, it was really special, and he was willing to wait because he wanted, even if he wasn't sure he wanted commitment in the beginning, he really liked connecting with me. And so he was willing to wait until it felt right to me. So like I said, if a guy is not willing to wait until it feels right to you, then he's not looking for what you're looking for. So hopefully that answers your question. And I'll wait, another minute or so to see if people still have questions. I hope the sound didn't cut off for everyone. I've only been hearing from Rose and Shanita. It's okay if other people are shy. I see there's a few other people here, so feel free to just say hi or just share with me. It doesn't have to be a question. It can be a comment. But, type it into the chat. But it's okay. If you're still here, it means you have enjoyed this presentation. At least I'm making that assumption. And I've really enjoyed sharing this information with you because I just have this vision of inspiring people to create their version of what soul-shaking love is for them, to really hold that vision in your heart and hold out for the right guy who can really meet you mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, and have that soul-shaking love. And imagine a world where everybody found their right partner and they had this deep connection and they knew the skills to keep love alive. People would be happier and they would get into less conflict, and hopefully it would ripple out on a global level where people are inspiring others to feel the love that we can all feel with each other. And that's what I'm hoping to do with all of you, and, having a ripple effect across the world. So thank you for participating in my vision. And I hope that you have a wonderful evening or day, depending on what part of the world you're in. And I look forward to connecting with you further. Much love. Mwah.